A new day dawned over Perry this morning, but the trauma of the school shooting that killed a 6th grade student and hurt 7 others continues to loom over this small community. But nevertheless, the community is not defeated. In fact, Perry's strong. We've seen signs around town expressing support for Perry and its people. And tonight, we are learning more about the victims of this tragedy. Just over an hour ago, we learned that middle schooler killed was 11-year-old Ahmir Jolliff. He died after being shot multiple times. The high school principal, Dan Marburger, also suffered multiple gunshot wounds. His family tells us his injuries are critical, but thankfully his condition isn't getting any worse tonight. We'll hear more about him and his recovery later on in this half hour. But first, we go live to Perry, where our Larissa Leone joins us. We're just learning how the school district plans to move forward from this incident. Lots of new information coming in. Larissa, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Stephanie, I'm live here at the Hotel Pate, where, just like you said, within the hour just wrapped up a news conference with the superintendent and the mayor of Perry, talking about the next step forwards for students and faculty after this shooting took place. Now, I asked the school when classes will resume, and they tell me there will be no classes for high school students all next week. And for middle and elementary school students, the earliest they will come back to school is by next Friday, and I want to put the emphasis on earliest. Now, for WINS classes not in session, Perry Elementary School will be offering grab-and-go lunches from 11 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. at Perry's Elementary School again, and that will happen every day that classes aren't in session. Now, again, I asked how the school plans to handle the security measures following this shooting, and they say they are leaning in on Governor Kim Reynolds.
One thing that we just talked about this morning was to have an increased law enforcement presence at each of the buildings. As the governor said earlier, she'd be providing any of the resources needed to make sure that Perry Schools was back on the road to success. The way that he approached that situation, and it saved some lives. But I'll also say this, not only with Mr. Marburger, but we had Mr. Snogren, associate principal. He did some actions that also saved lives.
And you just heard there from Perry's superintendent. He spoke about the actions of the principal and other staff members on that day, noting it as heroism. Now, I want to also talk about mental health resources for staff and students. Today, there was an event at the library where students and family members could come and get those resources. That will also be happening at the same place. That's at the Perry Library tomorrow. And we also know that 215 students use those resources and their family use those resources today. And as for staffers, they had a separate meeting, and there was about 80 of them that attended that using those mental health resources. For now, in Perry, Larissa Leone, Local 5 News.
Larissa, thank you. A lot of developments coming out just within the last couple of hours. So here's a recap of the latest information that we can confirm for you tonight. Once again, the one victim who died is now known as 11-year-old Ahmir Jolliff. He was a 6th grade student at Perry. High school classes in Perry are canceled through next week, and elementary and middle school students will not return to classes until next Friday, a week from today at the earliest. While school is closed, lunch for all students is still offered at the elementary school. We still don't know a lot about the 17-year-old shooter, Dylan Butler. However, law enforcement does say he acted alone. Authorities also confirmed today Butler died of a self-inflicted gunshot. Authorities said he also used 2 different firearms during the attack.